Good morning. Bonjour, bonjour. On this day 75 years ago, cities and towns across the Western world erupted in joy. Citizens filled public squares shoulder to shoulder to celebrate peace in Europe and triumph over evil. And although war in the Pacific would continue for several more months, there was an overriding sense that human civilization, forever changed, was beginning a new chapter. Today, 3/4 of a century later, many have cast the tragedy and disruption of the COVID-19 pandemic we face in warlike terms. Alors que nous faisons face à cette crise, pourquoi ne pas puiser des forces dans des générations passées qui, ensemble, ont persévéré? For everyone, man, woman, child, soldier, doctor, nurse, industrialist, and volunteer, had a role to play. When the war was finally won, with diligence and dedication, they began building a better future for themselves and their children, for us. And today, we honor them. We remember those who never returned from battle. And we also pause in gratitude for the 6 Canadian Armed Forces members killed just recently in a helicopter crash. Their lives of service cut much too short. All of them continue to inspire us, and never more so than in such challenging times. As we begin to emerge from this pandemic, we dare to dream not of a new normal, but a better normal. Let us make the most of humanity's resilience and pray that we may be worthy of the legacy of those we honor today. Lest we forget, n'oublions jamais.
Please rise and pay respect for Old Canada. Good morning, Premier Ford, Speaker Arnett, Brigadier General Malowski, and all Ontarians joining us virtually in today's celebrations, marking the official declaration of the end of hostilities in Europe in 1945. My name is Major Sasha Paul, and I say welcome to today's ceremonies. I will now call upon the Honourable Premier Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, to say a few remarks to honour this occasion.
Well, thank you, Major Paul. And before I start off, I just want to thank the men and women that serve. I absolutely love the men and women that serve our country. Thank you from the bottom of our heart. Good morning. It's an honor to be here today with Speaker Ted Arnett and Brigadier General Malowski to celebrate VE Day. 75 years ago, the world witnessed one of the most important events in modern history, the victory of the Allied forces over Nazi Germany. Canada played a pivotal role in helping to secure that victory and liberate Europe from the Nazis. On that day, Canadians from coast to coast to coast flooded the streets to celebrate and cheer. The war in Europe had finally come to an end, and our soldiers could come home. But that moment was bittersweet. While more than 1 million Canadians answered the call, 45,000 made the ultimate sacrifice. They gave everything in the service of their country, and today we honor those Canadian heroes. They fought for their homes and their families, for Queen and country, for our freedoms and the way of life. Whether it was storming Juno Beach on D-Day or freeing the Netherlands from Nazi occupation, Canadian troops became known for their raw courage, grit, determination in the face of adversity. So today and every day, we honor them. We honor and thank our veterans, and we salute our men and women in uniform who are actively serving as part of that rich tradition and legacy. While we cannot mark this historical occasion together in person today, we come together in our own ways to pay tribute. It can be as simple as a moment of silence, remembering a loved one who served, or calling a veteran to thank them. Their heroism and bravery continue to inspire us today, because we know no obstacles, no threat is too great when we stand united as Canadians. For their sacrifice, we will never forget. And thank you, and God bless our veterans, and God bless the people of Ontario.
I will now ask the Honourable Ted Arnett, Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, to say a few words.
Premier, Brigadier General Malowski, friends, it is my great honor on behalf of all 124 members of Provincial Parliament, opposition and government alike, to join you here this morning at our provincial seat of government, standing strong and bold as a lasting symbol of democracy and liberty, the very same values which motivated a generation of Canadians to volunteer, risking their lives far from home in the service of their country. The years have passed, but we gather still, and we do so today to acknowledge their courage and valor and remember their sacrifice. In the spirit of John McCrae's urgent exhortation, to you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. We now carry that torch of remembrance. When we look back, we know that the history of our country was not preordained. It didn't just happen. It unfolded as it did, leading us to become one of the most respected and appreciated nations on the earth, because of the qualities of our people, our resourcefulness, our willingness to endure shared sacrifice, our compassion, and most of all, our character. Those qualities were never more evident than during the war years from 1939 to 1945, and our role in helping to bring World War II to an end was significant. We've never started a war, but in defense of freedom, we have always punched above our weight. First in Italy in 1943, then after D-Day in June of 1944, Canadian forces faced down the Nazi occupiers, pushing first through France, then Belgium, then Holland. Fighting not for conquest, but for liberty and freedom. Fighting to build a better world for the generations that would follow. Our generation. This past week, we also observed the 75th anniversary of the liberation of the Netherlands by Canadians, which has created a special friendship between our two countries, unique in the world. We are very grateful to the Embassy of the Dutch Kingdom in Canada for the gift of Liberation 75 tulips, which now adorn our south lawn around our flagpoles and serve to refresh our memories of our enduring bond with the Dutch people. On this day, 75 years ago, as the hostilities in Europe came to an end, here in Toronto, they celebrated. University Avenue south of us was packed, and crowds engulfed much of the downtown. Today, by necessity, our numbers are diminished here. Many who would want to be here with us cannot be present. And we are not yet celebrating the end of our trial. But remembering what happened 75 years ago inspires in us the strength, the resolve, the resilience to confront and overcome this challenge of our time. And while we must be physically apart, all across Ontario, we are together in affection and in spirit. May God bless the people of Ontario.
I now request Brigadier General Malowski, Commander, 4th Canadian Division, Canadian Armed Forces, to say a few remarks.
Good morning, Premier Ford, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen. C'est un privilège d'être ici avec vous aujourd'hui pour commémorer le 75e anniversaire de la libération des Pays-Bas et le jour de la victoire en Europe qui a eu lieu le 8 mai 1945. The Canadian War Museum in Ottawa has in its archives an article published by the Globe and Mail. It describes the tidal waves of enthusiasm let loose in the streets of Toronto a few steps from here, as men and women of all ages rushed outside to merge with the singing, shouting crowds that paraded in Toronto's streets. As you've heard from the Premier and the Speaker, due to COVID-19 and the requirement for physical distancing, we cannot come together in great, exuberant numbers to commemorate the victory in Europe and the 75th liberation of the Netherlands. Our tribute to soldiers, aviators, and sailors who fought and ended the war in Europe and defeated that enemy is nonetheless heartfelt and profound. De l'automne 1944 au printemps 1945, plus de 175 000 Canadiens ont pris part à la campagne de la libération des Pays-Bas. Plus de 7 600 d'entre eux y ont sacrifié leur vie. The 1st Canadian Army, formed in 1942, played a major role in the liberation of the Dutch people. Under the command of General Kruger, the 1st Canadian Army was the largest army that had ever been under the control of a Canadian. It brought together 175,000 Canadian soldiers and 450 additional soldiers from Britain, Belgium, the Netherlands, Poland, and the United States. This Canadian Army cleared the coastal areas and opened the English Channel ports that were vital to the flow of supplies needed for the Allied advance. The 1st Canadian Army then participated in a number of campaigns and operations to free Belgium and the Netherlands, and helped force the surrender in May of 1945. Les Canadiens qui ont pris part à la libération des Pays-Bas ont beaucoup sacrifié pour rétablir la paix et pour rendre aux Européens leur liberté. The mission was difficult, and it resulted in many lives lost. But the effort of our veterans were not in vain, as they left a lasting legacy of peace.
It is my honor to recite from the poem For the Fallen by Lawrence Bignon. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We remember them. And now, I ask to please rise, if you're able to, and pay respects as the Brigadier will play Last Post. I now call upon Premier Ford to lay a wreath on the behalf of the people and province of Ontario. I invite Speaker Arnett to lay a wreath on behalf of the Legislature of Ontario. I invite Brigadier General Malowski to lay a wreath on behalf of the Canadian Armed Forces, cadets, and veterans. There is a fourth wreath that was placed prior to the ceremony on behalf of the Consular Corps of Toronto, who represent all of Ontario's diplomatic and international community, but could not attend today's ceremony due to the restrictions imposed by the COVID-19 crisis. I wish to thank all Ontarians for honoring the sacrifices made by so many people during the Second World War, so that future generations can live in peace. Today, we all feel a special connection to the people in all countries as we battle COVID-19 on a global scale, and work towards a day we can all gather to celebrate milestones like 75 years of world peace. The official party will depart after playing of the Royal Anthem.